He's trying to deeply destabilize the international rules-based order that protects us all, not just in every democracy around the world, but in all countries around the world. Any country with a neighbor with a slightly larger army should be worried if it suddenly becomes allowed to invade and redraw lines on the map. And that's why Canada and others are unequivocal that Ukraine must win this war against Russia. And we will continue to be there to support Ukraine. And yes, Canada fully supports Ukraine using long-range weaponry to prevent and interdict Russia's continued ability to degrade Ukrainian civilian infrastructure and mostly to kill innocent civilians in their unjust war.
This is my video update on this Saturday afternoon, September the 14th. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with badass big balls Trudeau. Trudeau's the tough guy, man. He's the tough guy. He is warning Putin that strikes are a-coming, that Canada supports long-range missile strikes into pre-2014 Russia. That is what Trudeau said in his statement yesterday. We have to hit at Russia. We have to approve long-range missile strikes. I'm not afraid of the Putin. We can defeat the Putin. I'm not scared of him. Yeah, I know he's a judo master, but I'm a drama teacher, and I once played the part of a judo master. I'm a badass. I'm Big Balls Trudeau. We need to approve missiles to hit Russia. So Canada is in support of long-range missile strikes into Russian territory using ATACMS, JSAMs, JASSMs, or Storm Shadows. It's going to be Storm Shadows. It is going to be Storm Shadows that are going to be fired into Russian territory. A serious, dangerous escalation that will be met by Russia with a retaliation, most likely against the UK. Canada is backing the UK in its push to escalate with Russia, to involve NATO in this conflict with Russia. I believe Finland and Sweden, they have come out in support of the UK's initiative to escalate towards a confrontation between NATO and Russia. Russia's not going to take the bait, by the way. They're not going to retaliate in a way that will draw NATO into the conflict. But that's one of the plans that Stammer, his overlords, and Zelensky have in mind. And Italy, they came out and said, no, you are not going to use any of our weapons to hit pre-2014 Russian territory. So we're seeing a bit of a split, a bit of a divide in the collective West with regards to escalating towards a conflict with Russia, trying to provoke a NATO-Russia war. But that was Trudeau, everybody. Word on the street is that the Biden White House, after meeting with Stammer and David Lammy, the foreign secretary, that the United States, that the Biden White House has given permission to the UK to launch long-range missile strikes into Russia. They told the UK, if you want to launch Storm Shadows into Russia, go ahead. This is not confirmed. This is word on the street information, because there's going to be no official announcement. We already know that. Whatever they discussed during their meeting, the US and the UK, they're not going to come out with any statements or anything like that, or a press conference, or be on the record as to what they're planning to do. But the reports are that permission was given to the UK by the US, and the UK can launch Storm Shadows into Russian territory And those missiles could have U.S. tech. They could have U.S. technology up in the missiles, in the actual systems, but they just can't be U.S. missiles. Something like that. That was the agreement. Missiles launched into Russia's okay, go ahead. If they have some U.S. technology in the weapons, that's fine, but you just can't launch U.S. missiles into Russia. And that's the agreement, though it has not been confirmed. And most likely what we're going to get is one day we are going to see Storm Shadows being launched into Russia. Pre-2014 Russia. That's going to be the scenario. Russia's prepared for this. I imagine that Russia's prepared for this, but that's how this is going to go down. So I think that's the latest update with the long-range missiles story news. A very dangerous escalation. The UK being pushed out in front to do the deed, and the US, the Biden White House, is going to sit back and see Russia's reaction and see what Russia does to the UK and how they retaliate against the UK, and they're going to take it from there. But the UK is going to put itself out there. Why are they doing this when you have Austin, you have the Pentagon spokesperson, Patrick Ryder, all kinds of military analysts have come out and they are on record saying that long-range missile strikes into Russia are not going to accomplish anything as far as changing the trajectory of the war. It's not going to make one bit of difference. Why are they doing this? Why is the UK so obsessed with? Naperasume? Yoki. Cadena problema para stop. Why is the UK doing this? We discussed this in a video that we put out on the Duran, me and Alexander. And that's the billion-dollar question. It's the billion-dollar question. Why is the UK going along with this? Because they're captured by the neocons, is the short answer. Captured by the neocons, captured by the globalists, whether conservative or labor, doesn't matter. They want escalation with Russia. They don't want this conflict to end. Blinken doesn't want this conflict to end. That's obvious now. And the only sane voices, if you can call them sane voices, this is where we've come to, are the people at the Pentagon. Not all the people, but the Pentagon realizes that this is going to turn out to be very ugly, very bad for the United States if they went down this road. So you might as well get the UK to go down this road, I guess. And Russia has already hinted at what they're going to do in retaliation. One of the things that they possibly might do to retaliate against the UK, they've got a number of options, a whole lot of options that Russia can do to retaliate that will not risk a type of World War III scenario. But Russia expelled the British diplomats yesterday. 6 diplomats that were in Moscow, British diplomats accused of spying by the FSB. And they were part of, one second, let me pull it up, part of the embassy, but part of the Foreign Office's Eastern Europe and Central Asia Directorate. And they were expelled on the same day that Stalmer and Lamy met with Biden to discuss giving the UK, got a spider on my shoulder, giving the UK approval to provoke Russia to hit Russian territory pre-2014. I always have to say pre-2014 because storm shadows have been launched towards Crimea a number of times. But that's one of the things that Russia's going to do, or that Russia threatens doing to the UK in retaliation, is cutting off diplomatic ties with Britain, with the UK, closing down the embassy, saying they're in a state of war with the UK. Doesn't mean that they're actually fighting, a hot war, but they can announce that they're in a state of war. Alexander talked about this in his video update on his channel yesterday. You can announce that you're in a state of war without actually being in a shooting war. And there you can seize all of the UK's property or assets that are in Russia. You can take over the embassy. From what I understand, the UK embassy in Moscow's a historic building, a very nice, beautiful historic building. That's going to be taken by the Russian government, expel diplomats, and then you can cause all kinds of trouble for Britain on an international diplomacy level, like fighting terrorism and communicating when it comes to terrorist activities, which is something that the US, Russia, the entire collective West, China, they used to do. They used to coordinate and talk to each other when it came to warning about terrorist attacks or stuff like that. There's so many things that Russia can do outside of actual hitting back at the UK. And then you have the actual hitting back at the UK, which Russia can just give over to proxies, to various proxies around the world that are waiting for the weapons and the tech to hit at the UK, at UK military assets. I mean, they're waiting for it. I'm in Cyprus, and we have two British bases, British sovereign territory, which is in Cyprus. They have a chunk of the island, about 4% of the island, which is actual British territory. But just to give you an idea that it's not to the extent of the United States, the UK's presence around the world, but the UK military does have a presence around the world, and it's not as powerful as the US military in defending itself. And God knows what Russia could do to help proxies go after UK assets. I mean, the possibilities are endless. And then you have retaliation against Ukraine itself. And one retaliation, I talked about this yesterday, that Russia could do is demolish Ukraine's energy infrastructure and cause a massive migrant crisis into the European Union. Just a bad idea, but Starmer is full speed ahead. The most boring man in politics, Keir Starmer, the most boring man in politics. I want to hit Russia. I want to start World War III with Russia. Starmer, and Big Balls Trudeau is with him. Finland is with him. Finland, you're right next to Russia. What are you thinking, man? you're right next door to Russia, and you're talking about missile strikes into Russia. Boy, is that dumb. Sweden's not so far away from Russia either, and they're all for it as well. Anyway, I mentioned Blinken and how he is one of the people that's absolutely pushing for conflict. He is going against the Pentagon, and he is saying, no, we have to escalate. The Pentagon's saying this is a bad idea. Blinken is saying, no, we need to escalate, because everyone knows that every decision that Blinken has made since he was Secretary of State has proven correct, right? the worst Secretary of State in the history of the United States, I think that's without a doubt, is Antony Blinken, rocking in the free world Blinken. And he announced yesterday, get this, he announced yesterday that more sanctions are going to be placed on RT, the actual channel of RT, and the channels that actually are running RT. RT is just a subsidiary of, I believe, RIA Novosti, I believe is the state broadcaster that has RT and Sputnik and all of these channels. And basically there's going to be sanctions on all of this. But just let's just say it's sanctions on RT, just to make it simple. And Blinken, he told the media yesterday that RT is spying. They are spying. They're not just a news channel. They're also a spy channel. They're spying, and they have spies in RT. I think he said from the FSB that are working in RT and spying on everybody. And they've got, he said they have cyber capabilities. In other words, they can access the internet. They have access to the internet, which is dangerous, I guess.
Today, we're announcing that these Kremlin-backed media outlets are not only playing this covert influence role to undermine democracy in the United States, but also to meddle in the sovereign affairs of countries around the world. Thanks to new information, much of which originates from RT employees. We know that RT possessed cyber capabilities and engaged in covert information and influence operations and military procurement. As part of RT's expanded capabilities, the Russian government embedded within RT a unit with cyber operational capabilities and ties to Russian intelligence.
He said that election interference, RT is interfering in not only the U.S. elections. Get this, they're not only interfering in the U.S. elections, they're interfering, Blinken said, in elections in Argentina, I think he said, in Moldova. They're interfering in the Moldovan elections, and everyone knows that if you interfere in the Moldovan elections, well, then, you know, you're interfering in democracy, right? Oh boy, they're influencing the global South. This is what Dave, is it Josh Rubin or David Rubin? Who's the guy that talked about RT interfering in the global South, misinforming the global South? Let me see if I've got his name bookmarked here. James Rubin. Yes, James Rubin, who's the State Department's head of the Global Engagement Center, the GEC, the GEC. He's head of the GEC, James Rubin. This guy, from what I understand, is either married to Christiane Amanpour, sophisticated journalist and international correspondent, or he was married to Christiane Amanpour.
We're saying they're fully integrated into the intelligence operations of the Russian government. And that's a big difference than our state-funded media. Believe you me, no one in this building gets to tell anyone at VOA, RFE, or RL what to say, do, or write. They ask us questions and we answer them. That's the difference between a state-funded media organization in a democracy and one in an authoritarian government.
So this guy, who was or is, I'm not sure what the situation is now, married to or divorced from Christiane Amanpour of CNN, is talking about how RT is misinforming the global South, how it's part of the Russian state disinformation apparatus. He's married to, or was married to, the CNN correspondent, not a CNN, the face of CNN, and it's RT that has connections to the state, not Mr. Rubin. Oh man. Anyway, he said that basically what he said is that RT is doing a really good job of taking market share away from CNN and Fox News, MSNBC, I don't know, New York Times, Washington Post, whatever, BBC. They're doing a good job of gobbling up market share in the global South, in the global majority, and that's undemocratic, because competition in the market is undemocratic. That's communist, man. Competition is authoritarian and communist. Damn it, RT, you're doing a good job of delivering the news that people in the global South, people in South America, in Africa, in Asia, in the global majority, they prefer your news over the BBC or over CNN. Damn it, RT, that's disinformation. That's wrong. So that was his complaint. That's what he said. And what else? They just blamed RT for everything, really. I think at one point during the press conference, Blinken blamed RT for eating his homework and stealing his lunch. Yeah. I went to eat lunch at the White House cafeteria with Jake Sullivan and Professor Biden, and my lunch was not in the fridge. Damn it, RT. When I was a kid, I wasn't able to turn in my homework because RT ate it. Maria Zakharova, she responded to all of this, and she said that RT is being sanctioned again. I was under the impression that RT's been sanctioned like 50 times, so I guess 51 times anyway. Maria Zakharova, she made the point that, okay, here we go, more sanctions against RT, okay. But RT is basically being sanctioned again because they are preventing, she said, they are preventing the zombification of the world, of the global South, and that's why they're being sanctioned. It's quite an interesting admission from the United States, from Blinken, that they can't compete with Russian media. My God, that's basically what they're admitting, that they're being beaten. Fair play, fair play. They're being beaten in the global South by Russia in the information space. I think the Rubin guy said that the global South is not buying into the West's Ukraine narrative because of RT. They're not believing that Zelensky is king, that Zelensky is king and he's awesome, and Russia provoked this war, and as long as it takes, and Russia's out of missiles, and they're using shovels and washing machine chips, and the Russian economy is in tatters. The global South is not believing any of this because of RT. That's what he said. I mean, I'm embellishing it. I'm making it a little bit more comical, but that's what he said. Russia RT is winning the info war, and the global South is not believing our propaganda. They're believing RT's propaganda over our propaganda. RT's truth over our truth, whichever way you want to look at it. A media company is there to influence, especially if it's state media. And look, CNN and MSNBC and all of these, BBC is definitely state media, but the U.S. media channels are state media. I mean, everyone knows that. Operation Mockingbird. Mark Dice, he's documented Operation Mockingbird in various books in detail. Everyone knows that these media channels are connected to the U.S. state, to the deep state, whatever you want to call it. Everyone knows that the three-letter agencies are involved in the big social media platforms. I mean, when Jack Dorsey was running Twitter, it's 100% confirmed that the FBI had an office, had pretty much a corner office at Twitter headquarters, or they were so deeply embedded into Twitter that they might as well have had a corner office at Twitter HQ. Everyone knows that the FBI, the three-letter agencies, were deeply embedded in Twitter. From what I understand, Facebook got its first investments were from the CIA, or they had some sort of CIA connection with Facebook, some DARPA CIA connection, something like that. But yeah, this is not, I mean, these aren't independent media outlets. They're absolutely, the U.S. outlets, media channels, social media are absolutely working with and connected to the U.S. government, especially to the Democratic Party, right? I mean, it came out that ABC, that was moderating the debate, the moderator, not the guy, what's his name, James Muir or whatever his name is, the girl, I forgot her name. She was a sorority sister of Kamala Harris. They went to the same sorority. That came out, and it is confirmed that Kamala Harris's best friend is an executive at ABC, or is married to the CEO of ABC or something like that. And she even introduced Kamala to her husband. And Blinken's going to lecture the world about RT, state media, and election interference, and pushing propaganda for the state, for the Russian state. I mean, give me a break. Blinken is the guy that put together the 51 former intel agents' Hunter laptop is Russian disinfo. He's the one that put that together. 1 second. Here is a press release from the House Judiciary. Chairman Jordan and Turner demand documents and communication from Blinken. New testimony reveals Secretary Blinken and Biden campaign behind the infamous public statement on the Hunter Biden laptop. Blinken did that. Blinken worked with 51 former intel agents and the media, and they propagated and pushed out the false. It has now been confirmed as false. Hunter Biden laptop is Russian disinformation. That was Blinken disinformation. It's not me. This is not me. This is from Chairman Jordan, Jim Jordan, House Judiciary press release. It's on the screen right now so you can see it. So look, It's an incredible admission, everybody. An incredible admission from the U.S. that the one area that they dominated in, if you could say, if there was one aspect of this war where the U.S. was winning and dominated, it was the information war, the information space, right? Blinken basically came out and said, we're losing the info war. What an admission, man. If I was the neocons, I would pull Blinken aside and I would tell him to stop. I would say, Blinken, what have you just admitted, man? What have you done? You admitted publicly that we're losing the info war? Are you out of your mind? If I was a neocon, I would be furious with Blinken. Like, absolutely furious with him. How can you admit such a thing? How can you admit that we have a weakness in the information space? Anyway, what this means is that that they're going to go after RT around the world. They're going to try to cut off payments to RT from global South countries where they operate in. They have channels in all throughout the global South. In Africa, RT, I think they have RT. I know they have a presence in Africa. I know they have a presence in the Spanish language and in Latin America, in Arabic. They have a big presence in all of the global South, and they have popular channels. So they're going to go after those channels. Canada, the UK, Canada, the UK, and of course the United States. They're going to go on a global South tour. This is what they announced. They're going to go on a global South tour, and they're going to convince the global South, leaders in the global South, to start banning RT. Can you imagine how that conversation is going to go? They're going to meet with countries in the global South. They're going to go to South Africa, and they're going to say, look, you got to ban RT because they're spreading disinformation. But CNN, we're all good, man, right? Trust in CNN, but you got to ban RT. They're going to travel all around the global South, and they're going to try to convince the global South to ban RT. The US, the UK, and Canada are launching a joint diplomatic campaign to rally allies and partners around the world to join the US in addressing the threat posed by RT. They're going to try to cut off financing, payment in dollars, banks working with RT, stuff like that. They're going to try to squeeze RT in that way. It's reminiscent of how they went after Huawei, which had mixed results. I would say in the beginning it was successful. It did cripple Huawei. Remember, Canada also took the lead in that. Canada and the United States, and it did hurt Huawei at first, but now Huawei is stronger than ever, man. They're putting out. Have you seen their 3-screen mobile phone, their flip phone, which turns into a mini iPad? It looks awesome, and they have their own operating system now to compete with Android and iOS. They have their own app store, which is getting more popular by the day. They're getting more developers on their app store. Their phones are selling now again. There was a time when their phones fell off the cliff. Sales fell off the cliff because they couldn't use Android operating system. But Huawei it looks like they're coming back stronger and better than ever. And they've got their own chips now. We talked about the chip technology that Huawei is figuring out. They're catching up with the West on that, developing their own chips. So at first, it had results, but after a year or two, Huawei found its footing, and they're now stronger than ever, and they're completely independent of the collective West. So, maybe it'll have results. Maybe it will hurt RT as far as payment. How do employees working for RT in these regions in the global South, how are they going to get paid? They're going to put the squeeze on RT there. But I don't think the global South is going to play ball. I think they're going to laugh at this. Maybe some countries will agree to put the squeeze on RT, but it's going to backfire. This is going to backfire tremendously on Blinken and on the U.S. This is a dumb move. Very dumb move. And you admit a weakness. You are admitting a weakness, Blinken. But this has another purpose, I think. Another purpose outside of going after Russia and going after RT, and Blinken basically admitting that he's been outplayed. Because what's Blinken really doing? Blinken is basically saying that he wasn't diplomat enough to compete with Lavrov. Right? He was outplayed by Russia. in the diplomatic sphere, in the information sphere. He was outplayed. He's admitting that he can't compete with Lavrov, that Lavrov is smarter and better than him. And instead of admitting that, he's putting the blame on RT. It was RT's fault. But he's also building on Russia, RT, Trump. I think we're seeing something like that being put together. Yeah, another Russiagate, but instead of Steele dossier and stuff like that, and P tapes at a hotel in Moscow, all of that stupidity. What we're seeing is they're putting together RT interfered in the election on behalf of Donald Trump, and the New York Times, they talked about this. Actually, let me see if I have the quote. If I have the quote, great. If I don't have the quote, oh well. But the New York Times reporting on this story, they hinted at building the case against Trump by using RT. They mentioned the whole tenant media thing. Here we go. The action came days after the Justice Department, talking about sanctioning RT, the action came days after the Justice Department indicted 2 employees of the network for funneling at least $9.7 million to bankroll American podcasters on Tenet Media, a video streaming site in Tennessee, in hopes of pushing the Kremlin propaganda and undermining, Kremlin propaganda and undermining the American democratic political process. So the New York Times talks about Tenet Media. So we had the whole Tenet Media thing, Lauren Chen, Tim Pool, Dave Rubin, all of that stuff that happened a week ago. And now you have this, where RT was implicated in that. Now you have this, RT sanctions, and RT is a spy agency masquerading as a media channel, is basically what Blinken is saying. Russia's a gas station, is a country masquerading as a gas station, or is a gas station masquerading as a country, whatever. RT's a spy network masquerading as a media channel. Same narratives, scriptwriters just coming out with the same nonsense. And the New York Times, in this article, they say, I believe they say something more about RT and Trump. Mr. Blinken imposed sanctions on Friday to RT as a whole. Any transactions conducted in dollars can now be subject to freezing or seizure by the Treasury. Anyway, I can't find the quote. Maybe it was somewhere else. The sanctions announced on Friday are an effort to undercut RT by making it difficult for the organization to conduct global business in dollars, which officials hope will curtail its ability to work outside Russia. The New York Times says that. And here we go. U.S. intelligence officials have said that the Kremlin is seeking to bolster former President Donald J. Trump's campaign, angered by the Biden administration's support for Ukraine. The announcement on Friday was meant to spotlight RT's global activities, U.S. officials said. Okay, so there it is. So even the New York Times is hinting at the fact that this is turning into something more than this is more than Tenet Media. This is more than sanctioning RT. They're building the narrative of Trump is being helped by Russian state media, RT, and this is election meddling. And this disqualifies Trump, or Trump's a Russian agent, because Trump, RT's discrediting Ukraine and the narrative around Ukraine, and Trump is talking about ending the Ukraine conflict, and Trump is a Putin agent, Putin's stooge, whatever, right? That's what they're doing here. And finally, something that's sinister about the sanctions on RT and the sanctioning of a media organization, going after a media organization in this way, is that whatever the U.S. government and whatever Blinken are being told to do against RT is going to be turned back into the direction of the United States and of the collective West. So whatever they're doing against RT, they're going to turn it right back around towards media companies in the U.S. that they feel are election interfering, or they feel are not putting out the right narratives, the state-approved narratives. That's going to happen. So people that are cheering this on, you guys are being duped. Wake up. Wake up. If you're cheering this on, no matter how much you support Zelensky is king, fine. If you believe that, if you believe that Putin is the most evil man in the world, like Piers Morgan goes on and on about Putin's a dictator, Putin's a dictator, Putin's a dictator. That's Piers Morgan. He can't stop. He's absolutely obsessed with Putin. But if you're cheering this on, you are a fool, man, because whatever they're doing to RT, this is just a test run for what they're going to do to your media channels in the US and the UK and Canada. They're going to turn this right back around, and they're going to use the same freaking excuses, the same narrative. Trying to think of what's a big alternative media channel. What gets a lot of views in alternative media, like on Rumble? Dan Bongino, Steven Crowder, Daily Wire. I don't know. Whether you like these channels or not, that doesn't matter. But let's just say they're very big alternative media channels, like big. They rival CNN, right? Crowder or Bongino or Daily Wire. They get just as many views as CNN. Well, what's stopping the Biden White House in a month or two coming out and saying they're meddling in U.S. elections because, you know, they're talking about Kamala Harris in this way, or the Biden White House in this way, or they're talking about ending the Ukraine conflict, or whatever they want to say. So this is it's pretty dumb. This is dumb, and it's going to boomerang back and hurt the United States of America. It's very dumb, but it's also very, very sinister, and it has multiple purposes. That's my thoughts on that news. So, from the RT story, let's move on. What else do we have to get to? Schengen is crumbling. The EU Schengen is crumbling. I talked about how Germany is taking a 6-month break from Schengen, free travel and movement in the EU Schengen zone. That's being demolished. Germany said that they can't handle the migrants, and they need a 6-month break, and they're going to start putting border controls to enter Germany, which effectively means that Schengen is over. And now we have the Netherlands coming out and saying, we want to follow in Germany's footsteps. We want to declare a state of emergency because of an illegal migrant crisis, is what the Netherlands is announcing. That's what they're saying, and they want to opt out of the EU migration policy. So we're seeing Schengen fall apart, which is the cornerstone, one of the main pillars of the European Union. That is the selling point of the EU. Why do you get an EU passport? Why would you want to live in the EU? Why would you want to be a citizen of the EU? I don't know. The one benefit of being part of a broken, bankrupt European Union, nutty, led by Ursula and people like Borrell. But one of the selling points of the EU was Schengen, right? You can travel around the EU in the Schengen zone in much the same way that you travel inside the United States. That was the big sell, right? That's going away now. So that is the news out of the European Union. Let's talk about some clown worlds, shall we? Or no, let's talk about Trump before we get to our clown world. So Trump said that there's going to be no second debate. That's what he was hinting at after the first debate, which was just a boring waste of time, in my opinion. A draw. I don't think anyone won, but the polls are showing that if anything, Trump seems to be getting. I think the polls are saying that Trump seems to be getting more of a bounce from the debate, even though the media, they are saying that Kamala won, or she feels like she won. That's why she wants a second debate. Anyway, Trump, after the first debate, said most likely there's not going to be a second debate. The Trump campaign, to be fair, they offered 3 debates to Kamala Harris, and she wanted only 1, right? But after the first debate, Kamala feels like she won that debate, and now she wants a second debate. And Trump at first said no, but now Fox News is reporting that the Trump campaign might be open to a second debate. I think when all is said and done, this is going to be my guess, Trump is going to agree to a second debate, and he will also agree to moderators being CNN or NBC or MSNBC or something like that, or CBS. That's going to be my guess. He's going to agree to a second debate. I don't think he should do it, but he'll say yes. And he will agree to having, once again, moderators that are going to be pro Kamala Harris. That's going to be my guess. I think Trump should say, I'll do a second debate if Fox News moderates, at a minimum, if Fox News moderates. But I would even go further and say, I want Elon Musk, Tucker Carlson, Elon Musk, and I don't know, someone else to moderate. Megyn Kelly, even though Megyn Kelly despises Trump, she's now pro-Trump, I think, but I don't think she really got along with Trump. I remember her moderating a debate, was it 2016, I believe? And then boy, was she going after Trump. But now she's pro-MAGA or America First or something like that. She's reinvented herself. But Coffee Lab, I like their logo. It's a nice logo, nice colors, the blue and the black. But yeah, that's the update there. And how am I doing on time? Yeah, I got to wrap up. This is a long video. I was going to do a bunch of clown worlds today, but let's make it 2 clown worlds. The first clown world is Boris Johnson meeting with Zelensky. For some reason, Bojo decided to go to Kiev. Why? I don't know. But he ended up in Kiev yesterday and met with Zelensky. Clown meeting clown. One clown to another. So yeah, Bojo, the man that sabotaged a peace deal that would have saved hundreds and thousands and millions of lives and would have ended so much suffering, would have prevented so much suffering. He's the man that sabotaged the peace deal in 2022, and he actually ended up in Kiev. That just shows you the mind of these people. They have no remorse, no guilt, nothing. They feel nothing, these people. So he ended up in Kiev and met with Zelensky, got a whiff of Zelensky number 5. What's he doing there? He's doing something. They sent Boris to Kiev. For some reason, they sent him to Kiev, the globalist. He just doesn't show up there just because he wants to hug Zelensky and get a whiff of Zelensky's perfume, even though that may be one of the driving factors for him going to Kiev. But he's there for a reason. I can't figure it out. But they're up to something. They are up to something, and when Boris ends up in Kiev, you know something bad's going to happen. Mostly for Ukraine, something bad's going to happen. Boris is very much like John McCain. If he ends up in your country, bad things are about to happen if he turns up in your country. So that's Boris in Kiev. And one more clown world. And this will be the video of the Pentagon spokesman saying that the United States is defending Russia from Russia. That's the video. The United States is defending Russia from Russia. Obviously a slip up, but I will play that video from the Pentagon, which is a clown world. I also had this lined up as a clown world. I'll just read you the title from Fortune. Sweden wants to pay immigrants up to $34,000 to voluntarily leave. Wow, $34,000 to leave Sweden. Go to Sweden, hang out there, and then get $34,000 to leave. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there, but that's an interesting story. Anyway, let me play the video of Ryder, Patrick Ryder, I believe, talking about how the United States is protecting Russia from Russia. And that's the news, everybody. TheDuran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, ODYSEE, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and Twitter X. And go to the Duran shop. Pick up some merch, like the t-shirt I'm wearing today. The link is in the description box down below.
But again, if you take a step back here in terms of what we're focused on, it's on enabling Russia to defend its sovereignty and deter future Russian aggression. So both urgent needs and long-term needs. And as we go into the winter, making sure that they have the capabilities from an air defense standpoint to protect critical infrastructure like energy infrastructure, which we know the Russians are targeting, but also at the same time that they have the capability they need on the front lines like armor and artillery